Ladies, gentlemen, and viewers from around the world, my name is Don Agent, and welcome to the Kegel Show. This week, we have our special guests, Brent Sims and Bob Ford. Thank you for joining us. Brent Sims is currently the director of the Kegel Training Center. Bob Ford is part of our IT department, as well as technology in general as far as Kegel is concerned. And the reason we brought y'all in today is to talk about your involvement with not only a wonderful product that I think is enlightening viewers from all around the world called Specto, but also its interaction within Fox Sports Network and the PBA Tour. So thanks again, both of you, for coming on out.
Thanks for inviting us.
You know, I want to start off by saying I cannot think of a better fit for bowling, honestly, than Fox Sports Network at this point in time. They've committed 110%. I mean, I'm seeing commercials, advertising, PBA events at all times of day. I just saw one at lunch the other day, 12:30 in the afternoon. The setup is about as professional and technically advanced as anything I've personally seen. I've done a lot of older shows back in the 90s. I think Randy Peterson and Rob Stone have done a tremendous job. Shout out to both of you guys, especially with all the new technology that's been introduced to y'all and kind of some of the juggling that you've had to do. And I could talk about positives literally for an hour, you know, about this, this union here. But I'd just like to thank everyone at Fox Sports on behalf of all of us here at Kegel and the PBA as well for bringing professional bowling back to TV on a regular basis. So let's cut to the chase. I mean, you guys have both been with Kegel. You're veterans. You've traveled for various reasons all around the globe for this company for many years in many, many capacities. This is a little bit of a different type of travel now, okay? Yeah. A lot of your stuff used to be randomly throw things at you. I mean, now you're on a definitive schedule. So, I mean, how many events, I'll start with you, Brent, how many events have you physically flown out for, and actually how many have y'all been on site for as far as shows?
Well, there's 31 total shows in 12 different locations, and so far we've done 25 of those shows. We still have the finals for the PBA playoffs, and then we also have the PBA League coming up. So it's been lots of shows. Some of those have been multiple shows in multiple days in the same location. So
you're racking up some frequent flyer miles.
Oh yeah.
We've got our status already.
We appreciate you juggling your already busy schedule here, both of y'all. I mean, I'm going to kind of defer to you on this one, Bob. Not that, I mean, y'all are a team out here, obviously, but you both kind of do some separate things. Bob, you do a lot more, kind of like a lot of the setup and behind the scenes that goes along with Specto and some of the information that's provided. Can you kind of tell your viewers a little bit about this and what goes on?
Well, what I do is I work in the truck, and the graphics that you actually see on the screen come off of my laptop. We get a connection to the front, and it's chaos in the truck. I mean, honestly, you've got 10 people in a room half the size of this, all talking at once, and you've got to get your stuff ready for when it's time for your things to be on TV, and we do the 3D graphics, and the Brent tells me what strike lines we want to use and stuff like that, because we have communication back and forth, and it's a very fun deal. It's very interesting.
How about, as far as from a hardware standpoint, I mean, I know what a setup is on an actual permanent installation. You guys have obviously made this, for mobile use. Mm-hmm. What does it take you really to where, from setting up to where you're going, hey, I feel comfortable, this is going to go off without a hitch? How long does it take, you think?
If the lanes are clear, which they never are,
okay,
it takes us about 2 to 3 hours to be totally set up.
Okay, all right. That's not too bad, actually. I'm going to go to what are some of the specific benefits that you think Specto gives our viewers?
Well, the biggest thing I think is just showing how good these guys really are. So I think, we all know bowling. The lane's 40 inches wide, and these guys have got to hit a similar spot down lane. And on a house pattern, I think we get used to being able to kind of have a little bit of area.
Sure.
But it shows that these guys can hit that same inch down lane, whether they're moving a little bit right or a little bit left, whether they're changing bowling balls, whatever it is, they can be super accurate. And a lot of times, what we may perceive as misses aren't even misses, because after I talk to some of these guys after the matches, it's, the ball reaction I had wasn't good enough, I was trying to move and do something different. So they were making big moves for 3 or 4 inches at a time, and they're able to do it like that in one shot and not have any hesitation. So I think really just how good they are is the biggest thing.
Another thing I noticed from that also is that as a lanesman and you as a coach, I mean, we've been behind the best of the best and also some of the worst of the worst. And so we've seen, the broad spectrum of it, but we can see with our trained eye, a lot of times if they miss or there's a movement or something changes, where the viewer, trying to look at this not being that close, they might think they made a good shot when they really did miss 2 boards in it.
Well, now everybody can see that.
And
I mean,
that to me
that's
was
part
a
of
big
it.
benefit as well.
Well, it's been one of the kind of learning curves on the tour too, is because sometimes knowing when they move versus when it was a bad shot. So what I've had to really start paying more attention to is their body language, because sometimes when it's a 1 and 1 in, I don't know. At first, I wasn't sure. Well, was that a move or was that an accident? So then I started kind of watching their body language, and that kind of tells the story. So it makes it much easier for me to know, because like a lot of times he'll ask me, should I strike line that or the ideal line, not strike line, but should we ideal line that? And it's kind of, well, was it a miss or wasn't it? And then usually a lot of times I'll use the body language, so that helps quite a bit.
That's pretty cool. What about, is there any specific moments, like the Specto moments, that stand out to you where you went, wow, that was...
Well, I have one, except for it's not necessarily a good moment for the person, I guess.
Well, that's okay.
Belmo at the Players' Championship threw 3 what I consider fairly good shots. They were within a half a board hitting the pocket, and one of them was a strike, and 2 were pocket 7/10s.
And there's a perfect example where, without showing that overlapping line, a viewer might think, well, wow, did he do something wrong or whatever, when all of a sudden now, you're just dealing with other variables that can't be controlled. It
Correct.
could be pen spotting, it could just be entry angles off a little bit by a half a board deviation. I did see that show as well, and that was, it was quite stunning, to say the least. What is your favorite piece of information, do you think, that Specto provides?
Like I said before, the ideal line, I think giving them a comparison and something to compare their shot that they're currently showing to a previous shot, so knowing that. And then the other one that's kind of cool that a lot of people have had lots of comments on is the 3D, because just being able to see it in a different view and being able to get a different perspective, being able to compare different players and see, like a lot of times there's been times where, actually it's more often than not, that they're the exact same point down lane, but how they get through the front part of the lane, because their ball speeds and rev rates are different and they're using different equipment, is in different spots. So it really shows what, luckily, we've been teaching here at the training center, is a lot of times that spot down lane is the same for everybody, but how you get there.
How you get there.
Yeah,
is
and a lot of times that's
totally
showing up on
different.
the show. And the other thing that a lot of times I like with it is different patterns and different environments. They have to do different things, which really helps me understand why it's so hard for people to learn that part of the game, because there's no, okay, you always do this and it always works. It's depending on the environment, how old the surface is, what pattern they're on, and things like that. The moves and the adjustments they need to make are dramatically different. And I think the last couple shows, especially the Detroit shows, really showed that how those guys made those moves at the right time really made the difference in who won those matches and didn't.
No doubt, no doubt. This is kind of a, I guess, kind of a philosophical question, and you guys are in the mix of this, so obviously you probably got the best vibe on it. Do the bowlers like it? It honestly, it shows a true picture. It shows, also how great they are, and it does show when they miss, obviously. What do you think the overall consensus is?
All the feedback we've gotten is really good. I think part of that is because the viewership, and it's something so noticeably different on the show. So from that perspective, everybody loves it. It's definitely brought something to the show that was different. You can tell you're watching a different broadcast than you were previously. That's one part of it. But the players are a lot of times asking what the numbers are. What do my numbers look like? For example, Bob reminded me that Belmo actually asked for the report from his 11th championship, because he wanted to frame those numbers. Granted, he threw it pretty good on that one too, and that I don't think was his best show, but there are a lot of times those guys are asking for that. And I've found the tour reps too, a lot of times they're looking at the numbers on the screen, I think, sometimes, and using that information as feedback to give to their players more accurate.
No doubt, very useful information. And that kind of tying into that, do you feel that, since we've made the move from ESPN to where we're at right now with Fox and FSX1, is viewership up?
Yeah, definitely. They're definitely getting a lot more people watching it. Like I said a minute ago, the show's definitely a different show. All the feedback that we've gotten online has been really positive, which online you can get beat up pretty easily about
Sure.
things, and people have been really positive about it. Rob actually works for Fox, obviously, and the feedback he's gotten from some of the executives and stuff is it's absolutely a different show. It brings a different element to the show. I've even found myself a couple times when I'm watching it, all I stare at is the numbers.
Yeah.
And I'm a bowling geek, of course, and I want to watch the bowling, but I find myself looking at so much more at the numbers a lot of times.
I don't see how you watch a show without it anymore.
Yeah.
I can't vision seeing
I've
that.
watched bowling all my life on every level, and I mean I really look forward to watching that. And we're already on this side of the technical information, but seeing it up there it definitely brightens the picture up.
Absolutely.
So I mean Fox obviously seems excited. The PBA seems excited. Are there any additional things that maybe they've requested that in the future of Specto, or
Well,
can you tell us about them? Or
Yeah, it's been a progression all the way through. If you've watched the telecast, you've kind of seen how we've added different things. We've added different reports, different recaps, because our goal always is to find that moment in the match that really makes the difference of why they won this match or didn't win this match. Sometimes it's a spare loss. I can't use Specto to tell you that, or a spare miss, I mean. But a lot of times it's because somebody makes a move here, somebody makes a ball change, and we can tell that story through Specto. So we've changed the reports as we've gone on to help show that. We added the 3D at the World Series. We're constantly making different changes to that, and we're looking to also add another layer to that to where we can do even more comparisons and show more shots in different ways to make it easier for people really to interpret what's going on. So we don't have anything specific on the table, but we definitely are always making changes and trying to make the viewership better. So.
Well, it's definitely a fantastic addition. I mean, it's these next two questions are going to involve these two people we've kind of spoke about, and it's very difficult for me because I'm a huge fan of both Norm Duke and Belmo, and the first one I'm going to start out with is obviously Norm's 40th win. Mm-hmm. I mean, he defeats Belmo. I mean, at Jonesboro Open. I was almost in pain watching that match because I don't want to root against either of them, and I didn't. I'm like, tie, I mean, that was
right.
But what was the atmosphere like to you? I mean, being in the mix of that. Was the crowd?
The crowd was wonderful. It exploded. As a matter of fact, Norm handed the trophy out so that people could take selfies in the crowd with the trophy.
How cool!
So he's out there celebrating without his trophy because it's just passed around into the crowd.
Yeah, for the TV shot, the producer's yelling, "Get the trophy! Get the trophy! We need the trophy for the presentation." Yeah, because I hear all the stuff that they're talking about in the truck and behind and stuff, and they're like all yelling behind the scenes.
Yeah, it's amazing because you always hear oh wow, we can't beat Belmo or this and that, and then Norm Duke. I mean, it just shows you how good all of these players are. I mean, this is one of the most adaptive bowlers that I've ever been able to watch. Now we're going to reverse it. A huge exciting thing for me also was when Jason won 11th major. I mean, defended.
Almost won it earlier in the year.
I know. Defended his back-to-back PBA World Championships. I'm in the chair shaking because I love this guy. And I mean, atmosphere on that one. How was that? I mean,
they chanted his name for 10 minutes afterwards, and then he invited everybody on to take a selfie, which I just found out 5 minutes ago Brent was in.
I'm in the very back. Look for me. My hands are in the air.
Well, I'll tell you what, I mean, I think personally y'all have done an outstanding job, and if y'all haven't been able to watch any of these shows, if not all of them, definitely try to tune in when they're on because you're missing something. It is just fantastic. I've been in this business 35 years as a bowler, Lane's been a mechanic, and I feel like a little kid watching with my dad, on my back patio. So, guys, I can't thank you enough for coming out.
For the invite.
It's been a pleasure, and that's a wrap for today, ladies and gentlemen. Keep those wrenches turning. Have a wonderful day.